What's going on YouTube? This is Adam with Push the Envelope, the channel that gives you everything artificial intelligence and machine learning. Today we're going to be talking about 7 tips for beginners starting in the field, so let's get started. Tip number 1, learn the fundamentals of your algorithms. Learn when you can and can't use them, what their strengths, what their weaknesses are, how they're being trained, how they're predicting. A lot of the times we glance over these initial details when we're first starting out. We find some model that somebody else is using and we use it for our problem. But you're missing out on a lot of knowledge there, and it's going to help you in the long run if you learn upfront. I did this. I found some models online, used them to solve problems that I was looking at, but I missed out on exactly knowing why they were working, how they were making those predictions. So start now and save yourself some time in the future. Tip number 2, start with the easy problems. I'm talking about things like the Iris dataset, Titanic dataset, MNIST, cats versus dogs. These are more of the unsexy problems, but they're going to be very good at helping you learn the fundamentals of applying algorithms to solve your problem, and they're going to remove the challenges of some of the real-world data sets to allow you to focus only on those fundamentals. It's going to save you a ton of time in the future and allow you to have this baseline of understanding when you start applying these to more challenging problems. I fell into this trap. I breezed through the initial problems, found some tutorials online, copy and pasted real quick, and told myself that I knew what was going on. And then I bit off more than I can chew and started going after something that I found more interesting, but it was way harder to solve. So start simple and work your way up, and you're going to save yourself a lot of time and a lot of pain. And you're going to develop a set of skills that you can use way down the line when you start applying these to real-world problems. Tip number 3, don't just copy and paste code that you find from blog sites or GitHub repositories. You gain so much more knowledge by sitting down and coding those line by line yourself. And I'm not saying you need to start from scratch and make your own script. You can sit down and copy those same blog posts or those GitHub repositories. But even just copying line by line while you are doing the coding yourself will give you so much more knowledge than blindly copying and pasting, going through line by line and telling yourself that you know exactly what it's doing. Even better, find tutorials online that will go line by line, explain to you what each line is doing, so that in the future, when you start making your own, it's going to be that much easier and you're going to have that much more knowledge. I fell into this trap. I just started copying and pasting, told myself I knew exactly what I was doing, and moved on. And I suffered in the end when I was trying to do real world problems. Nothing beats sitting down right now and doing it yourself. Tip number 4, machine learning is not some magic wand that you can apply to whatever problem you have and expect it to give you the results you're looking for. It's a common misconception that AI/ML will just solve any problem that it goes after, and that's just not where we're at right now. So you need to sit down and identify where it can and can't be used for, and that's going to help you in the long run identify use cases to use your models against or what problems that you can tackle. It's also going to help you identify maybe some limitations of your data sets or some gap in the problem that you're going after to help you correct it up front. It's going to save you a ton of time if up front you know when you can and can't use it or what maybe you're missing within the problem, rather than just creating a model and finding out later that you don't have enough information. So sit down now and figure out where you can and can't use it and what the limitations of machine learning are at this current moment. Tip number 5, don't blindly throw your data set through a neural network right off the bat to give you your answer. Sometimes a more simple solution is out there. Yes, neural networks are an amazing tool, and yes, they're being used in a bunch of different areas with large success. But sometimes a simpler model can be the way to go. It's going to save you overhead of training costs, of inference costs. It's just going to be overall less computationally complex. So start simple and work your way up. And you may find that a neural network is the best solution for your problem. But starting simple, you are able to retain all of those benefits of a simpler model and give you maybe the same amount of accuracy as your neural network would. Tip number 6, learn AI ethics up front. AI ethics is a huge point of debate right now, especially when you're talking about Tesla's self-driving car capabilities or some of these models that have found to have racial biases or gender biases. If you learn these ethics up front and you learn how to identify when your system has a bias built into it or has some error, then you're going to be able to correct these up front, have that knowledge ingrained into your fundamental set of skills, and your models are going to benefit greatly from that in the future. And you won't have to go back and fix these sort of biases after they're discovered. They're going to be discovered and corrected up front so that you don't run the risk of having your model have some bias or have some limitation to it. And finally, tip number 7, just start. There are so many reasons not to start down your AI/ML learning path, but you just need to overcome that first obstacle. Schedule some time, maybe that's an hour a day, an hour a week, an hour a month. Figure out what works for you, how much time you can commit to this. I know a lot of us have full-time jobs, so we can't dedicate 10 hours a day to do this, but a lot of courses and tutorials out there put this in bite-sized pieces, so you don't have to spend that much time each session that you schedule for yourself. So just get past that first obstacle, schedule some time, and make this a priority in your life. And that's it, guys. Those are my 7 tips for beginners starting down this AI/ML learning path that I wish I knew when I was starting. So please let me know if you got anything out of this. As always, all of this is going to be on my channel, so please look through individual videos and series that I put together. Everything here is going to be covered there. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.